What's up, fellas? Now, you know some of y'all funny. Now, for every video I do, I've been getting at least one or two comments from people saying, yeah, Alan, man, your new format is all right, man, but I really miss your old format, man. I like your long form videos. And yeah, man, they were much more cooler and blah, 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 blah. I'll say this, man. On one hand, I appreciate the compliment, and I'm sure you all did, but let's keep it real. Let's keep it just extra real. Of course you like my previous format when I was dropping a bunch of valuable knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice for free. Who doesn't like free shit? I mean, let's just keep shit real. All motherfuckers want shit for free. If you got a choice between paying for a car or getting a car for free, of course you want a car for free. If you got a choice between paying for food or getting food for free, of course you want food for free. It's just like if McDonald's was giving away free Big Macs. Let's say they had a special buy one Big Mac, get one free. And it lasted for like 2 months. And then after that 2 months was over, if you wanted 2 Big Macs, you had to pay for 2 Big Macs. Of course you're going to be like, damn, man, I just got to be real with y'all. Y'all staff here at McDonald's, I liked it when you buy a Big Mac and you get a Big Mac for free. Because I like to eat 2 Big Macs a day, and now I got to pay for both of them, and I don't really like that. I like when you had the special where you had buy one Big Mac, get one for free. That was much better. Of course it was. Here's the deal, and I don't want to get in a long segue about this, but man, here's the reality of life, man. I can't pay no bills doing shit for free, man. I can't pay no bills doing shit for free. Period. End of story. Nothing else needs to be said. And one more thing before I move on is, dude, I mentioned this, I think, in one previous video recently, man. For years, man, I was undercharging motherfuckers on a lot of shit, man. I remember in 2010 when I was in London, David X asked me how much did I charge per hour for a Skype or telephone consultation. I think I was charged somewhere between $60 and $75. And David X was like, what? Because David X, this is almost 10 years ago, David X was charging $250 an hour for his Skype and telephone consultations. I was only charging somewhere between $60 and $75, man. Do you know just recently, literally up until literally just a few weeks ago, I was only charging $99.95 for my 1 hour Skype and telephone consultations. Literally, I was only charging $99.95. Not anymore. Told you, man, the days of me lowballing myself and undervaluing myself are over. Okay, enough about that. It's funny, man, in relation to my last video about the 3 forms of pay for play, which is, again, tricking, whining and dining, and long-term financial provision. I had a lot of people write me, both Patreon subscribers and a few non-Patreon subscribers, mainly Patreon subscribers. They're just like, Alan, remember I always talk about certain things I say, it'll provoke a light bulb on the head? Even though I had explained this once or twice before, but a lot of guys just got it. A lot of guys were like, Alan, it just hit me, man, that Mo 1 is really just like tricking, only you're not offering money. Or some people said it in reverse. They said, Alan, tricking, you have to be Mo 1 to trick with women. The only difference is you offering money after your Mo 1, but essentially tricking, and it's the truth, man. And because I know I talked about this with Big Mike and Tony Maceo from Mac Cities one time. When you're tricking, you have to be Mo 1. So you can say Mo 1 and tricking go hand in hand. Well, at least on the tricking end. I ain't going to say. I'll say this. I ain't gonna say everybody who's Mo 1 has to resort to tricking. That's far from true. But I will say everybody who tricks has to be Mo 1. You have to be Mo 1 in order to trick. You have to be upfront, specific, and straightforward with women about the fact that you just looking to fuck. You have to be. There's no such thing as a beat around the bush trick. There's no such thing as a vague and ambiguous trick. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a misleading and manipulative trick. There's no such thing. I mean, seriously, there's literally no such thing. If you're going to resort, like I've heard guys in my comment section sometimes, if I mention the concept of tricking, some guys will say, oh man, fuck that Mo 1 shit, man. I'll just stick to tricking or I'll resort to tricking. You gotta be Mo 1 to trick. You literally have to be Mo 1 to trick. Again, when you're tricking, you have to let a woman know in an upfront, specific, and straightforward manner, number one, that you're looking to fuck. And number two, you got to let her know that you ain't really looking to spend any time with her non-sexually. You ain't looking to spend no time with her non-sexually. You're just looking to fuck. You only want to spend time with her specifically for the sake of fucking. That's Mo 1. Again, the only difference between tricking and being Mo 1 is you offering money. You're offering money. You offering to financially compensate that woman for her sexual companionship, time and sexual companionship. But other than that, there's really no difference. So again, in other words, putting it in my foremost behavior, you can't beat Mo 2 with a woman in trick. You can't. You can't beat Mo 3 with a woman in trick. If you're being Mo 2 or Mo 3 with a woman and you tricking, then essentially you're more so whining and dining. You're not really being tricking. You're whining and dining. That's why I explained yesterday in the video that there's like, because a lot of guys tend to confuse tricking with whining and dining and vice versa. A lot of people think those two are the same thing. That's not the same thing. Again, tricking is when you're offering to financially compensate a woman exclusively for her sexual companionship. Exclusively for her sexual companionship. That's tricking. Whining and dining is when you're offering to spend money on a woman for a combination of both her sexual and her non-sexual companionship. Her sexual and non-sexual companion. So I give you a simple example, whining and dining. Let's say you meet an attractive woman. You go out on 2 dates or even 3 dates with her. You pay for her meal. You pay for her drinks. And as a result, she gives you some pussy at the end of the 3rd date. Did you trick or did you wine and dine? You wined and dined. That's not tricking. That's whining and dining. Because you spent time talking to her over dinner. You probably talked to her for a couple hours on the phone. That's not tricking. That's whining and dining. That's what most people in my generation would call whining and dining. Anytime you're spending money on a woman for access to both her sexual and her non-sexual companionship, that is whining and dining. That's not tricking. Tricking, again, that's when you specifically let it be known that, hey, I'm just looking to fuck. I ain't trying to talk on the phone with you. I ain't trying to hang out at the park with you. I ain't trying to take you to dinner or lunch. None of that shit. I ain't trying to go to the museum with you, movies with you. I just want to hook up with you for a couple hours, fuck you, and then I go my way and you go your way, and as a result, I'm going to give you some money. I'm going to give you a little something for it. That's tricking. So yeah, man, I had at least 5 guys, most of them Patreon subscribers, write me yesterday. They said, man, until you did that video yesterday, man, I never realized the correlation between Mo 1 and tricking. Yeah, because again, you have to be Mo 1 to trick. I put it another way. I'd say you have to be upfront, specific, and straightforward, which is the same thing as saying Mo 1. You have to be upfront, specific, and straightforward about your desires, interests, and intentions in order to be a trick. You can't be beating around the bush and shit. And speaking of that, I've had some guys say to me, Alan, I've examined your 4 modes of behavior. And I think mode 1 is admirable. I think it is admirable, and I think it's ballsy. But what's so wrong with mode 2? I understand a lot of the flaws and weaknesses of mode 3. So I totally get that. I totally understand why you have harsh criticisms of mode 3 behavior. But I don't see what's wrong with mode 2. Honestly, I've gotten this over probably the last 15, 20 years. I've had certain guys say this. They say, man, I don't really see the big problem with mode 2 behavior. I understand the benefits of mode 1. I understand the detriments of mode 3 and even mode 4. But mode 2, I'm not really sold on the fact that mode 2 is so bad. I mean, what's wrong with, say, talking to a woman for 10, 15, 20 minutes, kind of getting her to be comfortable with you, kind of getting her to feel, more comfortable in your presence, feel like you're more a trustworthy person. And then you slowly but surely transition into letting her know you would like to be intimate with her. At least you don't come across as, a sexually aggressive asshole, or, you don't run the risk of coming across as thirsty or creepy or whatever, man. So, man, you're going to have to really explain to me why I shouldn't be mode 2. Why I shouldn't be mode 2, because I'm not completely sold on the fact that mode 2 is all that bad. Well, I can give you a lot of different responses. But I'm going to start off just giving you 2 words, which will be the name of a well-known comedic actor. Aziz Ansari. Aziz Ansari. Now, some of y'all might not know who that is, and even those of you who may be familiar with him may not know about his story. But he has an infamous story that happened 2 years ago. He went on a date with a woman. And see, this relates to, remember I did the video talking about choosing signals are overrated? Choosing signals are overrated? A lot of dating coaches use this thing about choosing signals. And I know one in particular. Well, I'll go ahead and say his name, Alpha Male Strategies. But he ain't the only one. I've heard actually a few guys talk about that. But the main one is Alpha Male Strategies. That's his big thing, is choosing signals. But as you know, about 2 months ago, I did a video where I said I didn't totally disparage the concept of choosing signals. I think they have their place. So I'm not totally 100% against the concept of choosing signals. But what I basically said is that choosing signals can be overrated because if you don't know what you're being chosen for, that's when they can be overrated. Because again, there's 4 roles that a woman can choose you for. There's at least 4 roles a woman can choose you for. She could be choosing you to be a short-term, non-monogamous, casual sex fuck buddy. That's one role you could be chosen for by a woman, is to be a short-term, non-monogamous, casual sex fuck buddy. Second role you could be chosen for is to be a long-term romantic companion and or future spouse. Third role you could be chosen for is to be a pay-for-play role, which is what my video yesterday was about. A pay meaning like a trick or a sugar daddy or a long-term financial provider. And the fourth role, you could be chosen simply to be a woman's male girlfriend, her purely platonic male friend, her empathetic listening ear. So there's at least 4 general roles you could be chosen for. And see, one story that highlights what I was getting at in that video is the Aziz Ansari story. The Aziz Ansari story. Aziz, to give you the gist of it, Aziz Ansari was at this Emmy, everybody familiar with the Emmy Awards. He was at an after Emmy party, a post Emmys party, and he was taking pictures. And one of his groupies, one of his fans, female fans, approached him and first asked him, what kind of camera he was using. And when he told her, she said, oh, interesting enough, I own the same camera. And that was really just her way of trying to flirt with him. And she ended up flirting with him. And she said at first he kind of blew her off. He kind of was ignoring her. But when she really got in deep about talking about her camera, he started giving her more attention. And anyway, long story short, he ended up inviting her out on a dinner date. So the two went to dinner. And they had a great time at dinner. Stop right there. Did he make it clear that he was looking to fuck her? No. Did he make it clear that he wanted her to suck his dick? No. Was he mode 3? Not really. Since all y'all talking about mode 2, Aziz Ansari was basically mode 2. Again, to clarify the difference between mode 2 and mode 3, actually, there's 3 versions of mode 3. Yeah, I break down 3 versions of mode 3. Mode 3 is when you do one of 3 things. You're either don't approach a woman at all, what I call mode 3 timid, a mode 3 timid. That's when you just don't approach a woman at all because you're scared of rejection. That's one version of mode 3. Second version of mode 3 would be you're confident enough to initiate a conversation with a woman, but you never get around to letting your true desires, interests, and intentions be known. You spend your whole conversation basically trying to impress women. You'll talk about your accomplishments, your achievements, how much money you make, how many material possessions you own, where you went to school, your level of career success, that type of thing. I call that a mode 3 target, a mode 3 target. Then the final is mode 3 is when you just totally suppress what I would call a liar, cheater, or fun clubber. Liar, cheater, or fun clubber is the third category of mode 3. Liar, cheater, or fun clubber. Liar, that's obvious. You lie to women. You tell a woman you're looking for long-term sex when you know you're really looking for short-term sex. You tell a woman you're looking for monogamous sex, but when you're really looking for non-monogamous sex. That's a mode 3 liar. Mode 3 cheater, obviously. You give women the impression you're single, but you're really married, engaged, or you got a girlfriend. And then finally, the fun clubber is a guy who spends days, weeks, or months pretending like he's content with being a woman's purely platonic friend, when in reality, he really wants to date that woman or engage in casual sex with that woman. That's mode 3. So again, to recap, mode 3 timid, mode 3 target, mode 3 liar, mode 3 cheater, and mode 3 fun clubber. Those are the variations of mode 3 behavior. Mode 2 is what, as you know, if you own my book, I call those the pleasant postponers. Pleasant postponers. On the positive end, mode 2 guys are honest, but their honesty is delayed or postponed. They're not upfront. See, there's upfront honesty, then there's delayed honesty. Mode 1 is when you're honest in an upfront manner. In other words, at the early part of the conversation. Mode 2 is when you just are talking to a woman. You spend at minimum at least 15, 20 minutes or longer just engaging in flattering, entertaining, friendly conversation, what I like to call trivial small talk. And then you slowly but surely transition into letting the woman know. Here's what Aziz Ansari did. He went out on a dinner date, spent like hour and a half, 2 hours having a nice friendly conversation over dinner. But then when he brought her to his crib, he basically got aggressive and freaky and kinky and tried to fuck the bitch. Alan Roger Currie is going to tell you where Aziz Ansari fucked up and fucked up big time.